Alright, so here today, it is officially launch day for Blue Protocol Star Resonance. A lot of you have been asking, hey, what is the class that we need to go for starting this game off in the right way? Tonight, we're going to do a full breakdown of each class, which one might be the one for you. In this game, let's make something abundantly clear. Every class shines, every class is relatively balanced, and each one is different in its entirety. Some classes might be for you. You're playing an MMORPG here. This is a game that if you like a class, you're stuck with that for a bit. You can swap later on, but you're stuck with it for a bit. So if you don't, if later in the line you're like, you know what, I hate this class, remember, pick the right one at the start. Make sure that you decide, hey, this is the one that I'm definitely sticking with. This is the one I'm putting all my resources into. It's going to be, again, your grind and your fun of Blue Protocol Star Residence. You can only have as much fun as how your class is for you. Tonight, let's jump into it, break it down. New to the channel, like and subscribe. It helps out massively. If you enjoy the content and want to see more guides over here on BPSR, consider hitting that sub button. Here we go. So first up over here, these are all the classes in the game at launch. Heavy Guardian is the first class over here, being a tank class. We then have over here, if we were to move right, if the site loads, you got this site, come on, you got this. The next one is Stormblade, being the DPS entire basically class. There we go, now it should load. There we go. Stormblade, DPS class over here. We then have the Wind Knight over here. We have Marksman, Frost Mage, Verdant Oracle, then back again over here, Shield Knight, then Beat Performer, back to the start, Heavy Guardian. Each class has two different styles to it. You have the Stonewall style, Block style, so on and so forth. Every class has its own style. Starting off, there are DPS characters. There are 4 of them in the game. You have the Wind Knight, you have the Marksman, the Frost Mage, and the... is it... Stormblade, yeah, Stormblade, right? Yeah, Stormblade, Wind Knight, Frost Mage, Marksman. Those are your 4 DPS characters at launch. Most players, they like DPS characters. When it comes to these DPS characters, we can take a look at Prideman over here that's kind of listed everything out for us. At the time of release, most specs are relatively balanced. When factoring in average player skill and free-to-play accessible imagines, this means you are free to pick the class and spec that most appeals to you for its playstyle or theme. With that said, we highly recommend, and this is the fact of the century, we highly recommend focusing on one spec so that you're not just pushing your materials everywhere else. You want to make sure you're doing it towards one and getting that maxed out, then proceeding onwards so you're getting the most powerful build without limiting your resources and spreading them like pretty thin. This guide will again help you understand everything. There are 8 DPS specs to choose from release, 4 classes, 4 then separate, and then separate, right? 2 styles each, so making 8. Each one has a unique playstyle, strength, weaknesses, and ways to scale. There are 4 melee, 4 ranged specs. Your decision, first decision is to choose which one you prefer. The 2 melee classes are Wind Knight and Stormblade, one being a strength-based lance wielder, agility basically based sword wielder. Then Marksman, agility-based bow. Frost Mage over here, what is it, just a spellcaster who wields a staff, pretty much, right? If we look at Stormblade, 2 different styles. Stormblade is a rogue or assassin class for, again, BPSR, favors high burst damage combos and using many actions throughout combat. The available specs are pretty much the Slash and Moonstrike, both of which are fully endgame viable. Even the most challenging content node, Master Mode 20, although the Slash is currently favored, both are viable options. Stormblade's ultimate Oblivion combo is capable of gathering enemies to set up for AoE. Again, the one that's more favored leans towards the left one because it's single target damage. It lowers the AoE damage, but again, you have hardcore single target damage. If you look at utility over here, you gain 2 bars. Over here for difficulty, 3 bars. Here, 3 bars. You are averaging out both AoE and single target, but if you are trying to just full send that single target damage, that's what you have over here. Exceptional burst damage, exceptional end game scaling, high damage potential, high ping and auto unfriendly, low party utility, requires high crit to function, good burst damage, exceptional endgame scaling with breakpoints, edgy scythes. Over here, potential relies on breakpoints, low party utility, scythe wheel can be buggy in certain fights. Each one has 2 entirely different playstyles. So first, check if you like the playstyle. If you do, then begin. Now, if you don't like the playstyle, then we're talking about something entirely different here, but preferred one leans towards the Slash. Again, if with endgame and everything, that's where it leans. If you don't like Stormblade, we got Wind Knight. Wind Knight is a Lancer class for Blue Protocol Star Residence and is considered by many to have two of the hardest play specs. They are Skyward and Vanguard, both being completely endgame viable in the hardest known content, Master Mode 20. Skyward is more popular, but both are very competent. With talents, Wind Knight Ultimate, obviously there's capable of granting himself and up to 10 allies a potent haste buff for 10 seconds. So again, the one leaning more popular is Skyward. You can see over here we get into the red territory, picking up heavy difficulty, but heavy single target damage. Over here, everything is pretty much average, pretty much strong difficulty, and again, utility and that all up there, but this increases the single target damage. High damage with quick reaction times always takes Wind Knight's party buff talent. Very fast-paced gameplay. Bad RNG means fewer abilities and less damage, must react constantly to random activated abilities. Resource management can be tough with low stats. Over here, when it comes to Skyward Spec, pros, strong damage output. When played correctly, you can avoid many mechanics while in the air. You can fly. Needs high crit and endgame talents to function well. Can become airborne when mistakes are made. Precise gameplay is not auto-friendly. But again, high damage. So, very hard if you're just a player who doesn't really like MMORPGs. This is your first one trying out. Maybe not the character for you. Don't want to hate the game. Try somebody more potentially easier for you. Frost Mage is the DPS caster class of, again, BPSR, and is also known for having the best enemy gathering ability in the game, Maelstrom. While also having the best control thanks to the incredible freezes, these facts alone justify its place in many 5-man dungeon runs at endgame before even considering damage. Frost Mage specs are Frostbeam and Icicle, which are both strong in endgame for different reasons. Icicle does superior single target damage and grants the team 3% crit rate bonus, while Frostbeam has superior AoE and control capabilities. Choose the one that fits your needs more, pretty much. We have the two ones over here, higher utility, but again, not too much AoE damage. Over here, still pretty decent single target. Again, lower single target, but again, great utility, great AoE. Difficulty, again, bit upper over here, but 2 over there. So, good single target damage, incredible AoE grouping, 3% crit party buff. Freezes enemy constantly. Must allow cooldowns, resource maximize damage. Requires high ability input speed during burst, and it needs skill swaps in dungeons to be optimal. Great AoE damage, incredible AoE grouping abilities, and freezes enemies constantly. Only issues are low mobility while channeling, cannot maintain long Frostbeam casts without cooldowns, burst reliant, hits a cast speed cap in endgame, cutting off scaling options. So, depends on if you want this one over here. Again, it is, used in 5-man dungeon runs, but up to you if you want to go for that one. Over here we have Marksman, the one that I've seen a lot of players hate on. Marksman is the archer and pet class of, again, BPSR. Both in specs, Falconry and Wildpack are the easiest to play and most auto-friendly. While with auto-friendly being possible, Wildpack is by far the more popular spec and most exclusively played over Falconry due to the free stats it gains from talents. Yes, Wildpack. That's the left one. Making it a powerhouse early game in progression compared to Falconry, which is one of the most crit rate reliant specs in the game. Marksman's ultimate gathers enemies on use and causes their own and allies' ability to deal 10% increased generic damage to them. Marksman's defense, cooldown, deader shot, also applies a team-wide attack damage immunity to the entire team for 5 seconds. Yeah, over here we have Wildpack spec on the left over there. Semi and fully auto viable, high damage at low gear levels, simple and easy to play. Over there we have Falls Off Ultra Endgame, must manage energy between battles at the start, combat at full power, must remain stationary during the burst window. Semi and full auto viable, has free skill slots to take utility at low or no downside, simple and easy to play, but severely crippled without high crit rate, and multiple enemies have long animation locks. So, not the best end game, but does good outside of that. So, those are all your DPS classes. You have Stormblade, Wind Knight, Frost Mage, Marksman. Are you picking any of them? Make your decision. But again, that is pretty much where it stands there. You have each of the designs, whichever one you find more fun for you. They're both there. Whether it be aerial, whether it be whatever, those are your ones. So, not bad. We'll take that. Yeah. Next up over here, we have tank classes. So 2 tank classes. There are 4 tank classes to choose from on release. Pretty sure they mean 2. I think they just copy and pasted. Whoops. And each of them are unique. And a signature broken mechanic. All 4 tanks specs are melee and entirely based on healing, shielding, and mitigating damage. It's widely accepted that all tanks are good in their own and unique way, and each one has encounters or scenarios where they can shine. And over here we have Shield Knight and then Heavy Guardian. So starting off, we have Shield Knight is a paladin class for BPSR, which both of its specs focused on self-healing and shielding, but with a less emphasis on raw damage reduction and mitigation. Both specs use its signature ability Judgment, which heals an absurd amount of HP every use to allow themselves to act as their own personal healer. Shield Knight's specs are Recovery and Shield. Both are endgame viable and can be used in the hardest content of the game. Over here, Master Mode 20. Recovery has superior self-sustain and shield generation, while Shield Spec is capable of raising its max HP considerably to survive. Both specs ultimates are and can be upgraded to deploy a dome to shield those within based on the Shield Knight's HP. Over here, Recovery Spec or Shield Spec, depending on which one again you like more. One has much more self-sustain, bit less tank damage, good utility, good mitigation, but again, difficulty's up there. Now, lower difficulty, less on that, or keep it rather average, utility mitigation, less self-sustain, but got more damage. So again, bit better on that side. Best self-sustain among tanks, great shielding, self-sufficient allowing the soloing of content like some world bosses. Most vulnerable tank to one-shots, relies on, the other, again, content or gotcha stuff for enemy gathering abilities. Highest total life pool in the game for the right side, huge max shield cap, great sustain and healing, must stack and consume light forged barrier at the start of the fight, leaving a small opening, relies on, again, the same thing for enemy gathering abilities. That's there. Heavy Guardian, tank-based warrior class. Both specs are focused on large amounts of damage mitigation and protection. Heavy Guardian specs are Earth, Fort, and Block, both of which are viable endgame with strong for different reasons. Block prioritizes pure mitigation and damage prevention at the expense of reduced self-healing and shielding capabilities. At the same time, Earthfort has less, but still effective mitigation, and generates large shields to protect itself, and which can be detonated for bursts of damage. Heavy Guardian is also known for its ability to control enemies and potential to gather them without using imagines over there. Block can be challenging to play without sufficient stats, but it can gain an edge later. Over here we have Heavy Guardian specs. So again, left, Earth Fort, right, Block spec. Self-sustain, bit higher than the right side. Huge tank damage, utilities up there, and mitigation's up there. Difficulty is not that high, it's 2. Large shields and mitigation, near permanent super armor, defensive party buff. Takes a bit of time to set up the shields. Squishy without a shield, can be overwhelmed on big pulls. The pros over here, so again, self-sustain is up there. Tank, well, actually 2-2, so not in comparison there, not up there, but the utility and mitigation is huge while the difficulty is low. High skill flexibility can run more control or resource generation. Best raw damage mitigation, easy to play. Early game due to lack of luck and low self-sustain capabilities. That is there. Now, heal classes, baby. A lot of players like sports. In this case, supports are there. 2 of them being mostly pure heroes, 2 of them favoring alternative. 4 specs. That's how I messed up over here. 4 specs, not 4 things, 4 specs. 2 of them being mostly pure healers, 2 of them being favoring alternative, more hybrid playstyles featuring a combo of healing and damage at the same time. All 4 specs have their niche, but some of them certainly stronger at specific content than others. In general, Verdant Oracle is considered more of a pure healer / sustain class, whereas Beat Performer specializes in powerful offensive party buffs. Again, Beat Performer over here. About Beat Performer. Beat Performer is the Bard class of Blue Protocol Star Residents, except for the guitar, which specializes in offensive party utility and burst healing compared to the healing over time and defense-focused Verdant Oracle, which makes a more favorable pick when damage is needed. The specs are, again, this over here and there. One trades the ability to perform strong direct heals for absurd personal damage output for a healer and the ability to heal a percentage of damage dealt. The other one maintains the double and doubles down on a healing and, more importantly, team-wide buffs, gaining ability to grant allies a percent of their own intelligence stat. Over there, you have both Beat Performer and Specs are viable in the hardest content of the party size, and both are heavy sought after with, again, unique buffs. So with this over here being the first one to go for. More on the side, correct, of utility and such, less on the side of damage. Then the other one over here being more on utility, low on the damage. So again, over here you have healing is up there. You have healer damage is up there. Utility is still up there. Protection is up there. And again, difficulty. Higher healer damage, party wild, super armor, and break efficiency. Very consistent healing. Massively reduced healing when unable to deal damage. Requires high luck and endgame talents in order to function effectively. Gigantic party buff. Excellent healing radius thanks to deployed speaker. Over here, utility is up there. Healer damage isn't. Healing is still on par. The protection is lower, but again, difficulty there. Requires high stats to break buoyance to perform optimally. Needs most talent points in order to function effectively. Mismanagement of resources and cooldowns can leave you without abilities. But with Verdant Oracle, now, pretty much, Verdant Oracle's, Lifebind thrives in the early game when stats are scarce. Both specs provide base attributes, free armor, temporary damage reduction, and more. Over here we have Smite Spec, Lifebind. Healing is high as hell. Protection's high as hell. Protection over here is still pretty average, but no damage. In comparison over here, a bit more damage. Again, a lot less healing though. Utility is also a bit less. Difficulty is a bit more. Powerful, large group of healers, or with other healers, sorry, can deal damage with while healing. Good shielding and mitigation. Struggles to keep up with healing output as a solo sustain in ultra late game. Long cast channel times, must be able to hit heal effectively, making some encounters awkward. Outstanding healing output, incredibly easy to play, fantastic general and defensive buffs. Deals very low damage, flat stat buff loses value the more gear players get. So that's there. That is everything. That is your 2 support classes with your 4 specs. That is your 2 classes here with your 4 specs. That is your 4 and then 8. So entirely speaking, it's up to you. Each character does something. Each character is entirely different. Each character plays entirely different. Check the gameplay. You can always view it over here and see exactly how each one looks. If you like how characters play, be my guest and try them out. Be my guest and run them. They all have different play styles. And again, you can hop to the site to see all the gameplay and everything associated, but each class is entirely different, okay? So again, is it DPS you want to go for? Is it more so I want to go healer, I want to go tank? That's the first thing you have to ask yourself. That's the first thing you have to answer for yourself, correct? Once you have that done, once you have that answered, you then can look into the subclasses and do it. I know a lot of players want to really lean towards Stormblade because of the endgame potential. I know a lot of players who want to go Frost Mage because of the team party buffs and everything potential there. I also know a lot of players who love tanking. They love MMORPGs that they can be a tank in and absolutely just hand the solo boss thing, entirely speaking, and doing it that way. There is a lot of things that can, again, work your way, whether it be going Shield Knight, whether it be going Heavy Guardian. I know that, again, I think it's is it Heavy Guardian that solo sometimes? One of them does it. I think it's actually Shield Knight on Recovery Spec that does it, right? That actually ends up doing that. So up to you. Good luck, best of luck. Hope you guys' launch goes well, and hopefully you check out what you want to go for. Hopefully this video aided you in your journey towards that, and hopefully you get a better start. Take care. Best.